Hey there, Kaylin here, and thanks for joining me for another video in the Too Many Cards series that Emily Leapart and I have created. Today we're crafting with the Animal Sweaters stamp set and the coordinating dies from Flora and Fauna. I love the quirky illustration style that Flora and Fauna stamps have. It's really charming and makes for super adorable cards. I started by taking the pug stamp and just stamping that down a few times on a strip of white cardstock. I just wanted to make sure that I got a nice clear impression, and I just used some black soot distress ink to do that. So then I took the coordinating die for that pug stamp and die cut it out using my Sizzix Big Shot machine. And then I'm just going to take 3 different shades of brown Copic markers and just shade him in using those. So I always start with the lightest Copic marker and then just fill in some shadows and add some detail with the darker shades of the same brown color. And then I always add just a touch of pink on the cheeks to bring the character to life. Now I'm just going to do some watercoloring, just taking some water and brushing that on a piece of watercolor paper, and then taking some reddish pink watercolors and just sort of putting that down, letting it run down, and even taking the paper and kind of tapping it on my desk a little bit to let it naturally run down to go from darkest to lightest. So just trying to create kind of a neutral background but with that nice gradient of color. I let that sit and dry for a few minutes, and once it's all dry, I am just putting it in my MISTI and then going to do some stamping right on that, which is going to be the front of my card. So I'm taking the sled stamp and I'm going to place that down, and I knew I wanted to do this in my MISTI because whenever you're stamping on top of watercolor paper that has a bit of a toothiness to it, which mine does, it's really helpful to use the MISTI because you'll be able to get a nice clear impression by stamping it more than once. See, if I stamped it just this once, it would just not be quite as vibrant and as full color as I want it to be. So doing it twice, even 3 times, really helps that. Now I'm going to add on some antlers right above where the dog is going to be sitting, and I'm just using some brown ink to do that. I decided to also stamp my sentiment right on the card front as well using some red royal ink from Hero Arts, just inking up that sentiment and then pressing it down. I wanted to add a couple of the other stamps inside of the sleigh portion, some gifts and a candy cane. So I wanted to mask off the sleigh a little bit just so that the presents looked like they were actually inside of it rather than sitting on top. So I just quickly stamped another sleigh on some scrap paper and then cut that out, and I'm just putting that back on the MISTI with a magnet to hold it in place, and then from there I'll be able to stamp the other elements that I want inside of the sleigh, and they'll look more like they're sitting down inside of it. I just wanted to add a little bit of color to the sleigh, so I took the same watercolor shade that I used for the background and just did it in a little bit more of a concentrated way and painted that on with my brush. I decided to add some texture and sparkle to the background of my card using my Nuvo glitter drops. I really like these. They dry pretty quickly and they just add really nice dimensionality and shine. I took some foam tape and adhered that to the back of the little pug and just adhered that onto the card so that he would pop up a little bit. I then went back with my Nuvo drops and decided to add some more glitter to the front part of the sleigh, just kind of like as a highlight for that. Once that dried, I then took my watercolor paper with all of the stamping on it and just took my card base, used my Tombow Mono multi glue to put some adhesive on there, and then just pressed down the watercolor card base to the front of the card. So that's going to finish off the card. I really hope you enjoyed it. I thought this was such a fun stamp set to work with. Be sure to check out Emily's video to see how she created a project with these same stamps and dies. And don't forget to enter for your chance to win a $25 gift card to the Flora and Fauna store. Thanks so much for watching.